Excellent. Well, first off, quick thank you to everyone from GTH for actually inviting us to come here, and as well as Zero for keeping us a bit more aware that this was happening as well. Quick show of hands, guys. So to start off, who here actually deals with casual staff members or a casual workforce? Yeah. And secondly, I guess another one, quick show of hands, who actually does payroll processes? Sweet. So that's actually the majority of us here as well. So Deputy is a platform that actually assists with this entire process. So what we consider ourselves is an employee management system. If we're to break that down into a bit of a mind map, you can see on the left-hand side there, I've put it in place so that it's directly towards our business owners and managers. We target issues such as efficient rostering, making sure that the right person is working at the right time, addressing time and attendance, so making sure that there isn't really that element of time theft, keeping that digital, keeping it transparent, and because we are funneling that through just one individual app, communication, keeping conversation relevant, keeping conversation punchy as well. On the right-hand side of the spectrum, we're dealing with the people that actually require that data and need a bit more advice around that data. So I blanket that as accountants, and we're talking about digital timesheets. That means easier pay runs. Below there as well, what we also deal with, we integrate with systems such as point of sales, as well as powerful systems like Xero, which help you get clear reporting. So what I want to do today with you guys is to go through a bit of a deep dive into each of those different elements, as well as show you a little bit more around the Deputy platform as well. So to kick things off, Deputy is actually a mobile-first solution. So all that means is that whenever we're talking about Deputy, we're talking about a mobile app, we're talking about a system which is with you at all times to provide you that level of transparency. So this allows you guys as supervisors, business owners, or managers to quickly glance at a screen, see exactly who's on shift, be able to do the mundane small tasks such as staff performance tracking, as well as communicating through simple push notifications as well. We also want to start optimizing different schedules. So I blanketed there compliance scheduling. And all that really means is that we always will have the right person working for you at the right time. So we take into consideration different options like training. Is that person actually suitable to work at that location? Firstly, secondly, stress profiles. Do we want employees to actually work past a certain amount of hours in a week? Or is that person relevant at that point? And we've also got different conditions like unavailability, leave, as well as overlapping shifts as well. So for me to prepare for today's presentation, I actually went back through a few of our case study notes, and I did a bit of warm calling, just making sure that seeing how people are going. And the quick summary that we got was that just based on the overall rostering aspect itself, based on the visibility that we can provide them, we saw that there was actually a 10% wage saving across the board. And this was across, I think, 20 different businesses in that kind of quick case note. We also provide in our backend fair trade awards inside our different libraries. So we've got over 20 different fair trade library awards, which you guys can completely just put into place. And the benefit there when it comes to rostering is that you're no longer really guessing how much you're spending on wages for that week. We can forecast that pretty clearly in advance, and that includes any overtime variables or allowances on that shift as well. The third aspect that we touched on was time and attendance, and I guess this is our bread and butter when it comes to Deputy. Addressing time theft and making sure that we've got timesheets that are relevant as well as clear and accurate. So we actually have two ways to capture data. The first one is through our mobile apps, which we encourage all employees to have on their phones. Through the mobile app, we'll actually go ahead, ask them to press a button just saying start shift or end shift. Whenever you press that button, we'll open up Google Maps for you. We'll show you exactly where you are in comparison to where you need to be, and we'll make that visible on the timesheets when our supervisors are approving them as well. The second option that we have is through our iPads. If we've got a fixed location, if we're dealing with a retail store or a hospitality cafe, we don't really want our staff members playing with our phones. So we can have an iPad somewhere in the background, employees come up to their iPad, take a photo, start their shift, and if we had any security analysis there as well, we've actually got facial recognition locked into our background as well. So we can make it pretty clear that that person's actually the right person on shift as well. What I want to touch next on is our different compliance ruling. So the few people that raise their hand up say that they're doing payroll. We know that the biggest aspect or the biggest pain point that we have is that when we've got a brand new client or when we're starting fresh on Xero, we don't want to go through and start adding each individual pay item straight into that account. To make that easy, what we've now done is built in those fair trade library awards directly into Deputy. We now encourage our employees to start creating digital timesheets. And what that means is that we now push our rules straight into your Xero file so it's fair trade compliant. You're no longer sitting there, you're no longer feeling away, typing in those different rules. We've got that entirely covered for you. Now, where does Deputy sit? Deputy is a pretty broad system. We deal with all of the small individual hospitality groups ranging from the 3 to 10 staff members. We target the middle market as well. We target the franchisees and the franchises, like the Gelato Messinas of the world and the Compass groups. And we've also got our enterprise clients, like such as Qantas. So these are ranging from anywhere from the 3s to 30,000, which is scoped out to be completed in the next few years as well. What industries do we target? We've got our different hospitality groups, security, professional services. Well, look, to keep it simple, if you're dealing with an hourly workforce, we're relevant in that kind of space. We've also got 50,000 customers, and I put that in there just as a little bragging note, 50,000 customers in 70+ different countries as well. So what I want to do with you guys is do a quick presentation of our system as well, give you guys a bit of awareness of what we actually look like. So what you should see on my screen at this point is my iPad app. The app on the left-hand side with the blue background, that is our mobile app specifically for, Android or iPhone phones. On the right-hand side with the white background is our iPad-specific app called the Kiosk. So what I might do, I'll quickly just jump into my mobile app to begin with, and this is what the day in the life of a general employee should look like. They've been notified that their shift has come through. Our managers pushed across information to us to say, these are the shifts I think you can work. As an employee, I jump in, select my upcoming shifts. I can see that on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, I've got a registered shift in. I simply select and jump into that. I can see exactly what my start and finishing time looks like. And if I'm working on multiple different locations, not a worry. I click in, I can directly see where my location is at that point in time. And if need be there as well, I can open that up in maps to get clearer directions as well. So there shouldn't be any more questions about John Smith forgetting where he's meant to be at that point. If I'm a proactive employee and I want to start working more, this is an opportunity for me to pick up extra shifts. As a manager, I can go ahead and open up shifts for employees to grab. And this is where I can say, well, on Monday the 19th, I might want to work that shift as well and get that extra buck. If I want that shift, all I need to simply do is get a quick gauge of the start and finishing times, select claim shifts, and once that's now claimed, I now have that shift under my blanket to work. And you see that notification come through there at top. The third thing is pay, which is always the most annoying conversation to have. An employee coming to you demanding for extra pay for maybe hours that they haven't worked. We've got clarity behind that now. So through all your mobile devices, you can now directly see what shifts were actually worked, what shifts are waiting to be approved for our next pay run, and what shifts have been already approved and ready to go. Clear visibility straight from the pocket. You've also got the leave functionality and the unavailability that can sync straight into most accounting systems like Xero as well. But from a day-to-day employee, look, I come into my shift. I don't really want to question too much. I start my shift, select my area of work, and this is what I was referring to before. We open up Google Maps at a glance, we see exactly where we are, and we see where we're meant to be. So in my case, I'm more than 710 Ks from where I am, and that's going to set off a notification to my supervisor saying that I'm doing something cheeky. I start my shift, and I'm on my way. If need be as well, I can go ahead, quickly see what I need to do during the day, see if there's any updates I need to do, see if there's any confirmation I need to go through. But realistically, I put my phone back in my pocket and I do what I need to do, start my work. The second option that we do have is our kiosk. And like I mentioned, this is our iPad-specific app. So this is now pretty much changing the old school Bundy clocks we saw in our old school warehouses. We're digitalizing it, making it a bit more efficient. We're going in. We're finding our name on our dashboard. And today I'm going to be Ash. I put in my 4-digit PIN. I can see how many hours I've worked. And to start and end my shifts, what I'm going to do, write any considered notes that I might have. And for me to end my shift, hey. take a photo. So as you can pretty much clearly see, I don't look like the person in the profile picture. What's going to happen now is that my supervisor is going to be notified saying that something's wrong with this shift, and when I'm approving that timesheet, will be flagged to me for further analysis. So you can imagine if you're dealing with a growing workforce, if you're dealing with a business that's growing a little bit too quickly for you guys to control, if someone supervises, if they don't know employee faces, that's fine. Ask them to upload a profile picture. We'll do all the hard lifting for you at that stage as well. So let's flip the switch. That's what it looks like for an employee. What does it actually look like for a manager doing the day-to-day work? So from our few conversations I've actually had with some of you guys today, I think the big issue that we had, or the main benefit factor here, was the rostering aspect of things. And I thought I might make that a bit more apparent to you guys as well. So I guess on the screen right now, it does seem like a little bit of information. It seems quite chaotic, but I can guarantee you this is a lot more effective than your spreadsheets or your handwritten wallpapers stuck on a whiteboard for employees to take pictures of. On the left-hand side, look, we can see all our employee staff members visible. We can get a pretty quick gauge on how many employees are working. At the very top bar, for our retail and hospitality stores, we've got integrations to point-of-sale systems. So rather than really speculating on what shifts or when my peak times of trades are, we've got that information directly pushed into our system to give you guys that awareness as well. We'll give you a breakdown of how much so far the day costs. So at this point, I can select Tuesday. I've got 4 shifts. I've got that much expenses, and that compared to my sales data, I've got a pretty damn good wages and sales comparison. On the top right-hand corner, same idea, but we're doing it over the weeks so that you've got a bit of a ballpark idea of what's actually happening there as well. So if I was to go ahead and schedule my shifts, all I need to do is press an Add Shift button, select my employees. But it might be hard because, still connected. Perfect. And Deputy will recommend you all the employees that are suitable for that job. So you see at the top there, we've got 3 employees that are recommended, pretty much orchestrating the number of total hours that they're working in that week as well. And below there as well, we'll split up the entire workforce to say people that are employed, that are not trained, people that might be overworked, people that might be already on leave. We make sure that those employees aren't recommended for you guys just to start off. Once again, if I went ahead and selected an employee, I get a rough shift cost idea so I know how much that's going to cost me at the bottom line. I press save, and we'll see that shift come off in yellow saying that it's currently pending, waiting for me to publish out, letting them know. When I publish that one shift across, I simply select the areas of work that I want to sort of notify, so my managers, and I've got 3 different options on how I want to notify them. I send them a notification straight through the app. I can chuck in an SMS feature as well, or I can also chuck in a confirmation note requesting them to actually confirm that they're ready for that shift. And let's have a look at what we've created before. I went ahead and created 2 timesheets previously, one under my name and one under Ash's. Realistically, this is now the comparison that we have when we're dealing with the piles of paperwork at the end of our pay run or getting prepared for our pay run. All we need to do is we'll simply select our employees which are ready and pending. You can go ahead and see any photos that are previously taken for any timesheets, and that's where I am. And we are getting notified now that that something's wrong with that image. I don't actually look like the person that's on the profile picture. So if I'm a manager, all I need to do is go ahead, quickly gauge the different timesheets that have got a bit of a notification associated with them, and adjust those. Everything else I can approve and make sure that they're correct compared to that roster. Once I'm ready, I can simply approve those timesheets, and now export them straight to Xero, completing my pay run in one click. And what you are going to see there is we do have a little small checkbox. We will be replacing Xero's base hourly rate with Deputy's base hourly rates. So what we can sort of guarantee here is that we're now no longer advising you guys to become payroll absolute experts. GTH comes involved, obviously, to sort of give you the handheld assistance to make sure that those different levels are correct, your employee targets are coming across correctly as well. But from your day-to-day business, you can be assured that your fair trade rulings are being calculated off every timesheet. Ooh. So what I thought I might sort of end with was a different few case studies that actually have used Deputy. On the left, I've got True South Grant, who's a brewery and restaurant with 25 employees. He's gone ahead and mentioned, in week 1, I saved 40 hours. That's $1,200 in fake timesheet data. A month later, I took advantage of Deputy's rule system to save another $1,200 each week. This is tangible and irrefutable proof of the value of this product. Reduced payroll processes from 8 hours to 45 minutes each week. Let me reiterate the last one. Reduced payroll processes from 8 hours to 45 minutes each week. That is absolutely crazy. So it either means one of two things, and this is my own assumptions for it. It either means you've got either the worst employees in the world and they're completely gypping your business. Or secondly, there's a lot of room for improvement. And that's where we're coming into play. We're making the small things come to light and making things a little bit easier to control. On the right-hand side, we've got Rick Scher from Cairns Dive with 21 staff members. As a manager and implementing Deputy, it has given me back more than 20% of my day. Admin has reduced to just 6 hours a week with the zero payroll integration. So you're seeing, once again, admin work, things we don't want to do. We're reducing that so that you can run your business as you should be as well. Just to give you guys a bit of an awareness as well, this is what we do price off at this point in time. We've got technically 3 different bundles. We've got the starter, which is just the scheduling. It comes across as $2 a month per employee. It allows you to schedule, allows you to communicate. But realistically, when we're talking about timesheets, that is when our premium bundle comes into play as well. So that comes across as $5 a month on a monthly basis, or $4 on an annual basis paid upfront. For the enterprise, this is where we're talking about the different Qantases of the world, our different ERP systems, our customized, custom-built system. Get in touch, we'll have a chat with you. We'll be a bit more accurate and a little bit less ambiguous on that as well. So in a nutshell, that's Deputy. We're an employee management system. We're here to save you time. If any of you guys have any questions, I am standing at the booth over right there, so feel free to have a chat. Thanks, guys.